Calvin Castine at Olympic Stadium. It's the 24th day of September 2004. It's a Friday evening, and first thing we want to do is thank Jim Tierney and Ed Sweeney for coming here last evening for the wrap-up of the Expos Mets series and giving Hometown Cable a little bit of coverage during that final appearance here by the New York Mets. Not sure if Jim mentioned it, but only 11,000 plus fans in attendance. And this was $5 seats and $1 hot dogs. The team from New York in town, and still only 11,000 fans turned out. It's approaching 6 p.m. on this Friday evening, and normally the batting cage is busy with the visiting team, but for some reason the Phillies aren't out there taking batting practice. They're just flying up from Florida, so I don't see where there'd be a particular delay in flight, so I'm not quite certain at this point why they're not out here taking batting practice. Maybe they looked at the Expos record and decided that they didn't need to take batting practice. We don't know. Within the past couple of days this week, rumors have been more rampant than ever that this will definitely be the last season. This will be the last homestand and among the last games here in Montreal for the Montreal Expos. There are still quite a few hurdles for Major League Baseball to relocate this club. The main problem seems to being able to find a suitable owner that would go along with a suitable community that would support a stadium. They have some areas where there's people that step forward and want to buy the Expos, but the municipalities aren't going along with it and funding a stadium. Obviously, funding a Major League facility is a big undertaking for a community to go with. The rumor has it at this point that Washington, D.C. is the next site for the Expos. They would play in a refurbished RFK Stadium. The story is that right now that Major League Baseball would continue to own the Montreal Expos as they have owned them for the past several seasons, and that they would play in RFK to generate more revenue. As we said, only 11,000 fans here last night at $5 tickets. The two previous nights were 3,600 and 3,800, so they're not generating much revenue here in Montreal. Puerto Rico did not put a lot of fannies in the seats this year when they played their 22 games in Puerto Rico. Actually 21 because one was rained out. So Major League Baseball is looking for another alternative, and right now it looks like whether they have an owner lined up or not, they would probably go through the expense of refurbishing RFK Stadium and let the Expos play there with the hopes that maybe they could get funding for a stadium and that an owner would come forward. So that's kind of how it stands right now on this Friday evening. The Philadelphia Phillies are in town. They bring one of the top home run hitters in Major League Baseball history. Jim Thome has a couple of years ago cracked that 50 home run mark. He's got 42 home runs this year, so he is one of only two players who have hit 40 or more home runs in both leagues. The other player is a fellow named Mark McGuire. So Jim Thome in good company. As of today's taping, he is one home run behind Billy Williams, the former star of the Chicago Cubs, and 8 home runs behind Cal Ripken Jr. of the baseball playing streak fame of the Baltimore Orioles. Thome has 423 career home runs at this point. He's in 35th place. Obviously, with 3 home runs to go to Ty Williams, I think I said 1, but he's 3 home runs behind Williams. With 3 home runs to go to Ty Williams, he has a good shot of moving into 34th place this year, and an outside shot of reaching Ripken, but that's 8 home runs in 9 days, and that's a very long shot. Among active players, Jim Thome ranks number 9. Those ahead of him include Barry Bonds with his 701. Then comes Sammy Sosa, Rafael Palmeiro, Ken Griffey Jr., the Crime Dog, Fred McGriff, Jeff Bagwell, the Big Hurt, Frank Thomas, Juan Gonzalez. Then Jim Thome, and behind him is Gary Sheffield with 415. Thome is also moving up the ranks of those who have drawn base on balls. The Expo power side, for the first time ever in their history, they have 2 players who hit 30 or more home runs, and both of those players have been hot. They both got 31. Batista had 2 a couple nights ago and 1 the following night. The other one, Brad Wilkerson. Tony Batista and Brad Wilkerson are the 2 players. Wilkerson hit 1 last night, and he's been hitting them out also. Another player who was hot for the Montreal Expos is Juan Rivera, who is finally getting a chance to move in on a regular basis. And since the beginning of August, when he's been put in a position where he's playing every day, he's batting a mere 370. That's Barry Bonds type of batting average. So Juan Rivera has really come on strong. You've got Batista with 31 home runs, Brad Wilkerson with 31 home runs. You add to those names, Rivera, Batista, and Wilkerson, add Nick Johnson at first base, who was injured, add Jose Vidro, all-star second baseman, who was injured, add Orlando Cabrera, who was traded before the trading deadline in a move to get something for him because he's up next year. I think he can become a free agent, so they traded him to get something for him. Add Orlando Cabrera, an all-star. I don't think he's ever been an all-star, but he's been on the verge of being an all-star. He's been a Gold Glove shortstop. He's produced power as shortstop. Put that in the infield. Put Carl Everett, who started the season here, on the roster in right field. He got hurt. Then when he came back, he got traded. Put those guys out there in the outfield. You got Everett, you got Rivera, and you can put Wilkerson at the other outfield position. You got a solid hitting outfield. Nick Johnson, who career-wise has had a 400-plus on-base percentage, outstanding defense at first. Jose Vidro at second, Orlando Cabrera at short, and Tony Batista at third base. And then your catcher Brian Schneider is adequate as far as hitting and an excellent defensive catcher. People said if this team had put out a good club on the field, people would have come out this year. They put together a good club. Unfortunately, injuries this year, as with last year, sabotaged the Montreal Expos season. That, together with playing their 21 home games in Puerto Rico early on in the season, took them out of the race before the season even got going. They've also had pitching problems with injuries. Tony Armas Jr. has not come back fully. Zach Day is out with an injury. You add them to Livan Hernandez and the other pitchers on this team, you'd have a more than adequate pitching core. In fact, early in the season, the pitching core was among the best in the preseason games during spring training. Expos led the National League in wins, so they had a solid team. It just didn't materialize on the field. Surprisingly, that 30 home run plateau has not been reached that often here with the Montreal Expos. According to the report presented by the Expo media relations people, Batista, when he reached it before Wilkerson. Well, just the 11th 30 home run campaign in Montreal's 36 seasons. Only the 7th player to do it. Now, of course, with Wilkerson, there are 8 and 12 30 home run seasons. 8 different players. Vladimir Guerrero hit 30 or more 5 times. Each of the years from 98, 99, 2001, and 2. Last year he was injured for part of the season, so he didn't reach that plateau. He's reached it this year with Anaheim. So Guerrero did it 5 times. Henry Rodriguez did it in 1996. Andre Dawson did it only once here for the Expos. That was in 1983. Gary Carter did it only once here. That was in 1977. Larry Parrish did it once in 1979. And the legend Rusty Staub, Le Grand Orange, the hero of Jerry Park, he did it only once. He hit 30 in 1970. Also, 100 RBI seasons. Batista with 107 as we're taping this is just the 9th Expo to reach that 100 RBI mark. So the Expos don't have a big history of producing runs. 9th Expo to do it in 36 seasons. Guerrero once again did it 5 times. Gary Carter did it twice in 1980 and 84. Andre Dawson did it in 83. Tim Wallach did it in 1987. Al Oliver did it in 1982. Henry Rodriguez in 1996. Ken Singleton, who now does broadcasting for the Yankees, did it in 1973. And Hubie Brooks did it in 1985. He was part of that trade that sent Carter to the New York Mets. So that's a very short list in a 36-year span, and it's surprising that there are that few that have hit the plateau. Now, despite the fact that Wilkerson and Batista each have 31 home runs, their RBI totals are worlds apart. Batista, as he said, with 107. Brad Wilkerson has only 62 runs batted in. He's got 31 home runs and driven in only 62 of those runs during that with that type of a home run power. The reason is he has hit 26 home runs while batting leadoff. For some reason, Frank Robinson has decided that he wants Wilkerson at the top of the lineup, but he's hitting these home runs with nobody on base most of the time. They're just solo shots. Either he's leading off a game. He's got several home runs leading off a game this year. And then when he does come up later in the game, he's batting behind the 8th, 9th hitters who don't get on base that often. So I think it's a waste of a lot of power having Wilkerson lead off. And with the Expos record, they're the bottom team in the National League. Maybe Frank Robinson could have got better use out of him. Obviously, when you're at the bottom of the order, you're doing something. Bottom of the standings, you're doing something wrong. The fans who show up tonight, the Phillies come in here. They are, I believe, 6 games out of the wild card standing, with just 9 games to go. Not much chance of them getting the wild card spot, but they have a solid batting order, and that is, of course, anchored by Bobby Abreu, who has 29 home runs and 39 stolen bases, and then Jim Thome with his 42 homers and 104 runs batted in. Wilkerson will again be hitting in that leadoff spot. Batista has only Termel Sledge in back of him to protect him and to give him some pitches to swing at. And Sledge has been adequate with a .264 average, 14 homers and 56 runs batted in. Somehow he's batting ahead of Juan Rivera, who comes in here with a .302 average for the season. And as we said, hitting the ball hard. He's got a 10-game hitting streak, and looks like he's been a good acquisition. He came over along with Nick Johnson in a trade that sent Javier Vasquez to the New York Yankees over the off-season. Our plan is to get down here maybe once or twice during the course of the game. If the game doesn't run too long, we'll get a little reaction from the clubhouse following the game. Another addition to the Expos this year has been Tim Raines, who came up just a couple of days ago, came up on Tuesday, in fact. He's been managing the Class A team for the Expos, and when their season was over, they brought him up as a coach. He's over there out of our camera range talking to some reporters. He's been a popular bring back here to Olympic Stadium, but unfortunately the fans just haven't come out to say howdy to him. So Calvin Castine at Olympic Stadium, and we'll be out here again with a little more, hopefully, before this game is over.
Perez at that mountain plus the new number 9, Thomas Perez, now playing third base.
Frank, son of his camp gave you everything you wanted, right? Everything you needed.
5 seconds.
Frank, talk about Sung Kim performance.
He gave me everything I wanted. Oh, he pitched a good ball game, man. That's not even necessary to say it because he did. He got better as he went along. And nobody's rooting harder for him to pitch the shutout in the complete game than I was. But I wasn't gonna let him throw it in more after he lost the shutout because that's more pitches than he's thrown all year long at any time. And that was a high pitch count total, especially for him. But he pitched very well, and when they get men on base, he got a little tougher, got a little better with his pitches, and threw a very fine ball game tonight.
He wasn't bad with the bat either.
Well, he got a big hit for us, and wound up with 2 hits. He's supposed to have a take on the second one, but I guess it was his night. So he could do whatever he wanted to do. But that was a big hit, the double hit again, with the bases loaded.
Frank, as you take a look at some of these young guys here late in the season, would you say that he's giving himself a real solid option next year in rotation?
Well, most of the guys that are here, that's here next year, starting pitchers will get a chance to win a job in this rotation. It's only one set job right now. And the other ones are kind of question mark. Oka is probably the closest thing to having a position in the rotation after Hernandez. And that's about it. So everybody else is just kind of up for grabs. So he's one of the candidates, and he certainly didn't hurt himself tonight. So, but you take it for when it is and what it is, and you also have to not get carried away. Remember, it is September. And the game is played a little bit differently at this time of the year with playing some teams than it would be in June or July.
Frank, did you think that was the best that you've seen Maestros Turris play in the field?